It's June here in the Pacific Northwest, and your garden is about to do something it hasn't done all year. The soil is warm, the days are long, and the worst of the spring weather is behind us. June is the month the garden finally stops fighting you and starts working with you. But here's something some gardeners might miss. June is also the month where one small mistake could cost you your whole August harvest, and you won't see it coming until it's too late to fix it. I'll tell you exactly what it is before we're done here, and once you know it, it's an easy thing to get right. In this video, we'll walk through what to do in your garden this June here in Zone 8B, what to plant this week, the tasks that matter most right now, and how to set things up so the rest of your summer is easier, not harder. Whether you've had a garden going since March or you're standing in your backyard in June thinking, is it too late for me to even start? This is for you. First, let me say this plainly, because I know some of you need to hear it. It is not too late to start a garden. Not in June, not here. There's this idea online that gardening is a race, and if you didn't have seeds under grow lights back in February, you've already lost. That's just not true, and it's especially not true in our climate. Zone 8B gives us a long, generous growing season. Our summers are warm without being punishing, and our falls stay mild well into October. If you're starting your first garden bed in June, you have months of growing season ahead of you. You're not behind. You're just starting when you're starting. And now is a fine time to start. If you're starting fresh, one quick tip. Pick seed varieties with shorter days to maturity. Look at the seed packet, find the days to harvest number, and pick ones that have a lower number. A bush bean that's ready in 55 days is going to serve you better right now than a variety that needs 90 days. Same goes for choosing starts from the nursery over seeds for things like tomatoes and peppers. You're buying yourself a head start, and in June, that's worth doing. Okay, let's talk about what goes in the ground this month. June is the month our warm season crops have been waiting for because the soil is finally warm enough. Cold soil is what makes warm season seeds rot instead of sprout. By June in Zone 8B, the soil has come up to temperature, and that changes everything. This is the time for beans, both bush and pole. It's the time for summer squash, zucchini, winter squash, pumpkins, cucumbers, and corn. If you've been hardening off tomatoes and peppers, or you've got starts from the nursery, they can go in the ground now. And melons too. If you've got a warm, sunny spot for them, they're a little ambitious for our region, but June gives them their best shot. And here's something people forget. You can still directly sow plenty of cool season crops right now. Beets, carrots, chard, kale, lettuce, and quick herbs like cilantro and dill. The trick with lettuce and cilantro in June is to tuck them somewhere they're going to get a little afternoon shade. Because once real summer heat arrives, those crops want to bolt. Bolting just means that they shoot up a flower stalk and turn bitter. A bit of shade buys you a little bit more time before that happens. So that's what to plant. Let's talk about what to do with the garden you've already got. Because June isn't only a planting month, it's also a tending month. If you planted in spring, your beds are filling in right now, and so are the weeds. Staying on top of the weeds in June matters more than it did in April because right now, every weed in your bed is competing directly with your vegetables for water, nutrients, and root space. In spring, your plants were small and the stakes were low. In June, your plants are putting energy into growing, and so is every weed next to them. 20 minutes pulling weeds once a week in June will create a better home for your veggies in July. And while you're down there, look closely at your plants because June is when the pests show up. Aphids are the big one. They're tiny, they cluster on new growth and the undersides of leaves, and they multiply fast. The good news is they're easy to handle if you catch them early. A strong spray of water from the hose knocks most of them off. For a heavier infestation, watered down dish soap works well and it's gentle. The key word is early. A few aphids today is a 5-minute fix. A colony in 2 weeks is a real problem. So get into the habit of looking for them by flipping a few leaves over every time you're out there. Same goes for the slugs. And if you garden in the Pacific Northwest, you already know slugs. They do their damage overnight. If you're seeing ragged holes in your leaves and no insect in sight, go out after dark with a flashlight and you'll find your culprit. You can keep slugs away with a line of copper tape around your beds or with a few inches of hazelnut shells or other coarse ground cover. Slugs won't cross over these and your garden will remain slug-free. Now here's a word you're going to want to know if you don't already. Succession planting. It sounds technical, it isn't. Succession planting just means that you don't plant all your seeds at once. Instead of putting in your entire packet of bush beans on one day in June, you plant a short row now, then another short row 2 or 3 weeks later, and then another after that. Think about what happens if you plant everything at once. All your beans come ready in the same 10-day window. You're drowning in beans, you give bags of them away, and then you have nothing for the rest of the summer. Succession planting fixes that. You plant in waves, so you harvest in waves. Succession planting is great to do with beans, lettuce, carrots, beets, and cilantro. Anything quick. A little now, a little in 2 weeks, a little after that. It's the easiest way to turn a feast or famine garden into one that actually feeds you all season. Now here's the June mistake that can cost you your August harvest. It's watering, specifically how you water. When the weather warms up, the instinct is to water a little bit every day. You think you should give a quick spray with the hose in the evening so the top of the soil looks dark and damp. But here's the problem. A light daily watering only wets the top inch or two of soil, and your plants are smart. They grow their roots towards the water. So shallow watering trains your plants to grow shallow roots. Then July arrives. We hit a stretch of 90-degree days, which we always do, and a plant with shallow roots has no reserve. The top of the soil dries out fast in that heat, and the roots have nowhere deeper to go. That's the plant that wilts and struggles and underproduces in August, and the gardener standing over it has no idea the problem started back in June. Here's what to do instead. Water deeply and less often. Instead of a little every day, give your beds a good long soak 2 or 3 times a week. You want the water to penetrate down 6 or 8 inches into the soil. That pulls the roots down deep where the soil stays cooler and holds moisture longer. A deep-rooted plant can ride out a heat wave that flattens out a shallow-rooted one. How do you know if you've watered deeply enough? Wait an hour after watering, then push your finger into the soil or dig down with a trowel. If it's damp several inches down, you're there. If it's dry just below the surface, you need to water longer. And one more piece, because it does half the work for you. Mulch. Now that your soil is warm, lay down a couple of inches of mulch around your plants. Straw, bark, dried grass clippings, dried leaves, whatever you've got. Mulch keeps the soil cooler, slows down evaporation, and cuts way down on the weeds. It is the closest thing the garden has to a free lunch. Water deeply, mulch well, and you've handled the single most important thing June asks of you. So here's something that might sound strange in June. This is also the month to start thinking about fall. I know we've barely made it into summer, but hear me out, because this is what separates a garden that quits in September from one that keeps feeding you into November. Our Zone 8B fall is long and mild, which means we can get a whole second season if we plan for it. And the planning starts now. Toward the end of June and into July is when you start your fall and winter crops. That means broccoli, cabbage, kale, more carrots, and beets. A lot of those do best when started from seed in the heat of summer, so they're ready to transplant out when the weather cools. You don't have to do anything about it today, just know it's coming and let it sit in the back of your mind, because the gardener who remembers fall in June is the one who's pulling fresh vegetables when their neighbors have packed it in. So here's your June game plan from start to finish. Get your warm season crops in the ground while the soil is warm. Plant in waves instead of all at once so you harvest all season. Stay ahead of the weeds and check your plants for pests every time you're out there. And most of all, water deeply and less often, and get mulch on your garden, because together, the watering and mulching will keep your garden going through the heat that's coming. June is the month the garden finally meets you halfway. The hard part of spring is over. If you do these few things now, the rest of your summer gets easier, not harder. I'd love to know what's going on in your garden this month. Tell me in the comments, what are you planting in June, and what's the one crop that you're hoping does really well this year? Happy gardening!